on all kinds of topics. I mean, what do you want to pick? It's in there. According to Wikipedia, environmentalism, endangered species, women's rights, sexual harassment, LGBTQ rights, objectification of women, censorship, civil rights, body image, steroid use, allusions to masturbation, drug abuse, racism, peer pressure, indigenous people issues, corporate crime, government interference, parenting, pacifism.
Wow. What age do you think it's like minimum age appropriate for?
90% of what's going on was going over my kid's head.
Yeah.
And I mean, even I watched it. I was probably watching this as a kid at like 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there. Welcome to the 42 Podcast, where we discuss life together, looking for answers to life, the universe, and, well, everything else. Here are your hosts, Rob and Lindsay. Hey, Lindsay, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Glad to be back.
So, you and I have had 3 weeks of fairly intense conversations.
Yes, we have. Yep.
And I think it's a good thing. We're trying to have these balance of good, serious conversations, but then also kind of wandering off into the world and pop culture and podcasting and just having fun. And that's what this episode is we're just kind of wandering off and having fun.
Necessary, for sure.
Yeah. I do think it may be fair to give a warning up front with this episode. Neither you or I at this point have gone through it yet, but we're going to be talking about those moments in movies that, we as adults with children watch and get, whoa, they made that joke?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's possibly going to be conversations about adult topics. There's possibly going to be conversations about mature situations. And, we have no idea what's coming other than...
Maybe not have your kids around or listening before you screen it.
Yeah, listen first. We're not going to be overly crude, but we're going to talk about stuff.
Sexy time, possibly. You never know.
I don't know. But we're going to talk about things that we've seen in kids' media that are definitely geared towards the adults as subtle nods to parents. Yeah. So,
yep.
There you go. Be warned. Yeah. I don't know where else to go with that other than, so what was your movie?
I watched Beauty and the Beast, but I also did a little research, too, and just, looked around on the internet.
You did research?
I did a little, because, I didn't want to have nothing to talk about. Beauty and the Beast was pretty tame. The only thing that's really in there was, I guess I understood Gaston's creepiness way more, and his yucky, misogynistic behavior. I got that, and I didn't really get that when I was a kid. I just knew he was the bad guy. because of his ridiculous song and so forth. But there is a line that Cogsworth says at one point about they're trying to decide what to give Belle as a gift, and he says, flowers, chocolates, promises you don't intend to keep. Which is, obviously, you don't get that when you're a kid, but... But you watched Aladdin, and there's a couple things in there that I can remember just off the top of my head.
Yeah, I have to admit, I probably got the easier one of the two because Aladdin has Robin Williams. Mm-hmm. And while there's nothing that goes, directly, oh, wow, that was dirty, but, I never understood it as a kid, but one of the favorite moments, and as a kid I could quote it, and I didn't understand what I was quoting. But there's a scene where Aladdin, he gets Genie out of the lamp, and he's doing all these different impressions, and he starts doing this, are you talking to me? Are you looking at me? You rub my... And
yeah.
understood that until it was like years later when I was older and I'm watching Robert De Niro's Taxi.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, wow, okay. And there are a bunch of things like that Robin Williams does with the impersonations and the goofiness and just being an all-around goof that ties back into, I don't even remember the game show, and forgive me for mentioning, but it was like Bill Cosby's game show where the duck came down. It was somebody else's before that.
Oh, I don't know.
That's referenced in there. There's a handful of different other references from 90s era.
Kids don't know what they're seeing. They just know that it's funny. They just know that it looks funny, it sounds funny, he's being funny, but we are just laughing nonstop because we get all the references now.
And I did find that I always took it slightly innocently as a kid, but there's a scene where, there are the ladies of Agrabah who are very familiar with Aladdin, and it's just...
Yeah, they say that he looks tasty.
Yeah. So, Aladdin's not, like, overwhelmingly oh my, but there are definitely moments that I, as an adult, went, whoa. But I also chose it for a second reason, because I think there's value in some of these moments that create conversation. So when my son was in kindergarten, this would have been like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, whatever that math works out to be, we had a family movie night, and my kids had never seen the original Aladdin. And it's one of my favorite Disney, so we watched Aladdin. We did our family movie night stuff. I got pizza and junk food, and everybody sat down, and we started watching the movie. And there's a scene early on in the movie where Aladdin and Abu steal bread, get chased through the city, and then when they finally get a chance to stop, they're not being chased anymore, and eat, there are two kids who are digging through the trash looking for food. And it's showing a kindness on Aladdin's part, but for some reason that stuck with my son. That moment, and he asked a question out of it, which started a conversation of, there are children who are poor. There are children who don't have food, and one of the big things for my kids is their teddy bears. They call them baby teddies. And just saying that there are kids who don't even have baby teddies resounded with my kids, with my son. And that launched, it is a really cool chapter in our family life, where we spent about 6 months, because my son this really resounded with him, and he wanted to do something to try and get teddy bears to give to kids in need.
Aw, that's cute.
And so we spent 6 months, as a family, working, and we got it was like 343-ish teddy bears that we got donated to us, that we then went out and donated to a local mission here that was able to help and get them to kids in homeless shelters and situations. And it was a really cool chapter of our life that came about because a mature moment of there are kids who are in need was right there on screen, and it didn't go over my kid's head. He caught it, and he asked questions that led into a hard conversation, but one that has had value for us as a family.
Yeah. Yep. That's why movies are so awesome.
That's why stories in general are awesome, because they can create those conversations.
Yep, that's totally true. Are you seriously drinking boring water right now? What should you be drinking right now, Robert?
It's right here.
Okay, well,
I needed a sip of water.
That's what I want to see. I don't want to see your thermos thingy. I want to see the whiskey.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry. You have, I've had a delayed morning. I was running around. We had to take care of my wife's car, go to the bank, and everywhere I went has been line after line. And you've been sitting, waiting, drinking
so
gin,
patiently.
while I have been not.
I'm a little ahead of you.
Oh, wrong pipe. Oh, that was... Oh, and that's the good stuff that it just went down the wrong pipe.
Oh.
That's the smooth stuff. That does not bode well for me today.
So you know what else I never understood because I tuned it out, because you're kind of supposed to tune him out. But in the movie The Lion King, when Zazu does the morning report to
I love Zazu.
Mufasa, and he's making all these hilarious puns about, like, the animals and being a cheetah, and cheetahs never prosper. Remember what I'm talking about? And meanwhile, Mufasa and Simba are sort of having this moment where Simba's going to pounce on Zazu, but that whole bit that he does is hilarious. So much better now that I'm a grown-up.
So I love Zazu because of that, and camera's over here.
Zazu.
This is one of, see, there we go. This is one of my favorite pins that I've collected. It's a Zazu pin because he's a great character. I mean, he's just that comic relief in the background. I like those secondary characters who do that, like Pumbaa. It was Lion King 1.5 where they did that, like, everybody's in a hot tub and talking and reflecting on the movie. Have you seen that?
Yes.
You remember the scene where Pumbaa gets out of the water and all the bubbles stop?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And that's one of those things where kids are going, okay, and adults are going,
it's totally understated. It's understated and hilarious and naughty and fun.
It is, and that's a great little fun nod in that movie. That's a good one. Mm-hmm. And there are a couple things. Well, you know, the greatly rumored, much paused scene in The Lion King of what does that dust cloud really say?
SFX, like the effects, or is it SEX? Ooh, look, we're pausing it. Ooh, look, we see. I remember that. Pausing it on the VHS.
Yeah, I did. I was an adult where I was like, all right, I need to just, is it there? Is this truly there? In my opinion, I think you're all seeing things.
Really? I saw it. I saw it.
I've looked and I'm like, buying it.
What if they got rid of it when they changed it over to DVD or something?
They might have. I'm not buying it. And maybe I'm wrong.
I'll find it.
You know, if you're an animator for Disney who helped with that scene and you listen to our podcast, give us a call.
I'll find it, a picture of it, and I will send it to you. How about that?
I have seen pictures of it.
So I don't get it. Why don't...
Because I don't think it is. I think it's, at best, maybe a coincidence. And the human brain is wired to attach...
it's...
like faces
it's
and...
it's no different than... Well, it is a little different, but similar to Pixar always having A115 and all their stuff. You know, because it's the name of their...
117, isn't it? No. You're right.
I think it's A115. It's the number on the door of their whatever studio.
113. It is A113.
A113. Sure. Exactly. Yes. I think it's like that. It's a signature. Like it's a, you know, the little artist's signature in the corner. Like, hey, we're here. We did this. We're proud.
Which that is one of the things I love about Pixar, is they do those little, you know, can you find it? I love searching out for the pizza truck. The pizza truck has been in every movie, or the ball, or they have nods to future movies.
Yes.
And that's what I love. Have you ever, down the rabbit hole.
Okay, yes.
Have you ever heard of the Pixar Theory?
No, do tell.
Oh my goodness. This is like, boom. I love the Pixar Theory, okay? The Pixar Theory is that every single Pixar movie is connected. Now, I don't know how, the last one is 2013, so it hasn't updated or aged to the current moment, but this is a rabbit hole worth pursuing. If you type into Google Pixar Theory, and it speculates that the whole of the Pixar universe is connected because of, and this is one of my favorite Pixar movies, Monsters Incorporated. And not because of the doors, but because of Boo.
Her dreams or something?
She meets Mike and Scully, and then she spends the rest of her life finding Scully again.
Sully, but yes.
Yeah, Sully. I always want to call him Scully. I'm thinking X-Files here. And it's this really neat interweaving, like, it goes into Brave, where the witch in Brave is actually Old Boo. It goes into... It is incredible. I will send it to you. You will go down the rabbit hole on this one. It's Pixar Theory, if you want to Google search it. I think it's one of the best things I've ever seen, and I really would love to see Pixar say, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a rabbit trail. But yeah, Pixar is filled with those moments, both in jokes and, jokes and like the classic scene with Buzz Lightyear, the first time he meets Jessie.
And his wings go boop.
Yep, don't know what Jessie, I don't remember what Jessie said or did, but Buzz is standing there, he gets a shocked look, and then his wings go boing!
Yeah.
And you're like...
Subtle, very subtle. Never would have got that before.
And parents are sitting there going...
But did you know that I've noticed that so much in a lot of cartoons? Except, like, the reverse. And listen to this. So, picture any Looney Tunes, old Looney Tunes stuff, when Bugs Bunny is fighting with someone and there's a sword involved or something, and they're fighting, and the other guy does something ridiculously awesome, and his sword goes... You know what I'm talking about? That's exactly the same thing in reverse.
Well, lots of awkward moments. But yes. All right, what else did you get? Or what else do you have?
Okay, how about this one? In the movie Frozen, when... Do you know where I'm going?
I've only watched it thousands of times.
Okay.
The
first one, where Kristoff and Anna are in the sleigh together, and they're talking about foot size and how it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Foot size doesn't matter.
What did we recently watched Mrs. Doubtfire. Again, Robin Williams.
Oh, cool. We gotta see that again. Yep.
Yeah, so we rewatched that. And again, I haven't watched this movie since I was maybe in my teen years was the last time I watched it. And I'm sitting there, and it's one of the scenes where they're like at a fancy restaurant, I think. I don't remember exactly where it was, but Robin Williams as Mrs. Doubtfire is talking to Pierce Brosnan's character, who's trying to date Robin Williams' ex-wife, and he goes, "Oh, you'll never compare to the power tools she keeps in the bedroom."
Oh my gosh.
I'm sitting there with my kids listening. I'm like, please don't ask, please don't ask, please don't ask, don't laugh. Holy smokes. They snuck that in there? I missed that for a year. Okay.
I saw this really interesting YouTube video. I can't remember who it was by, but they talked about the 10 most influential family movies of the 90s, because I was sort of doing... I'm trying to compile a list of movies to watch with my kids, like, because we have a one night a week where one of the kids stays up with mom and dad, and we watch a show just with them.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we love it. It's really cool to spend time, because I have 4 kids. It's nice for them to spend time with just mom and dad. So, yeah. So it was this list of 10 most influential movies, and Robin Williams was in like 6 of them. So he is, I mean, and I think that's why, I don't know about you, but his death impacted me so much. It was so sad, because he is my childhood. He's the voice of my childhood.
When he died, I mean, that was a hard one. To say laughter died feels like a fair sentiment with that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I loved him as Genie. I loved him as Mrs. Doubtfire.
Hook.
I loved him. Oh my goodness. Hook. Hook to this day bothers my sister. So,
really?
The alligator, for some reason, sank deep in her. Caitlin, if you're listening, I'm sorry. But the alligator for her, and I forgot about this. She and I were talking a couple weeks ago, and she brought it up. I'm like, but Hook is such like a childhood classic and favorite. How can you not love it? And she's just like, the alligator. Oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
But yes, Hook. Robin Williams as Peter Pan, an adult Peter Pan, was great. Did you ever watch Good Morning Vietnam?
You know, to my shame, I still haven't seen that. So definitely on my list of movies to watch.
I was in my late teens, early 20s, and good friends of our family were like, "Oh, you've never seen Good Morning Vietnam? You need to watch this." Oh my gosh. That is a gem of a Robin Williams movie you have missed. You need to watch it. Patch Adams. Oh, I love Patch Adams.
I loved
or Bicentennial
Patch Adams.
Man.
That movie got under my skin. That movie was so hilarious, but at the same time, a tearjerker. It did everything that a movie is supposed to do. It's very good.
But those are the ones of Robin Williams that I love.
Me too.
That weave this bittersweet narrative.
Okay, Dead Poets Society. Dead Poets.
Oh,
one of my favorite movies.
One.
Yeah.
That
very
really was
inspiring.
a good one. Some of his, I will say, I struggled with some of his darker, creepier ones.
What
was it? 1 Hour Photo.
Come. Okay, really?
Yeah.
I think I've seen 1 Hour Photo. I saw Insomnia. He's in Insomnia. And that was okay. It wasn't anything special, even though it was Christopher Nolan, which is interesting because he's done much better since then.
Yes.
But it was okay. I think I've seen 1 Hour Photo. I'm not sure.
It was
But
weird.
What Dreams May Come, visually, it was like, oh, this is entertaining. What's going to happen next? But it was just like only visually entertaining. I didn't really like that movie very much. It was kind of too weird.
But yes, Robin Williams as an actor, I loved him. I miss him.
If I could just make a suggestion or a recommendation, HBO did a documentary on him called Come Inside My Mind, and it was really, really good. It was very well done, and I learned a lot about Robin Williams, and definitely worth the watch. Just saying.
Do you know if that's on Max, I suppose?
I watched it on Prime, I believe. Like, in Prime,
okay.
you can buy, like, offshoot channels, and I think that's one of the ones
yeah.
I bought for, like, $6 extra. And I watched that movie and a couple other things, and then I canceled it. Because I'm cheap.
It is on Max.
It was good. I recommend. Sad. It was very sad.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the arc of his story. It's bittersweet. It really is. But yes, Robin Williams was a huge influence in that time, in my childhood, in a lot of people's childhoods.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Because
yeah, absolutely.
He was just the voice of laughter in many ways. But moving on from Robin Williams, Mike Myers.
Yeah. Shrek? What are we talking about?
Shrek.
Well, Shrek is just almost not a child's movie at all.
I know, it really runs that razor's edge. You know, the scene where they come up on the castle. Oh, I wonder if he's compensating.
Yeah.
or
yes.
the little puppet things that sing the song when you get into...
I know. That's what I'm talking about. It's like almost too much.
Oh.
Okay. That's DreamWorks.
Yeah, that is. But it was good. I mean, it is good. I think we've watched Shrek as a family, I think.
My kids have watched it a couple times, but I'm glad they're over that, because...
I'm not questioning that, but the Shreks were good.
You know what was funny? The little jokes, like in Hercules, the little comments like, indoor plumbing, it's gonna be big, and different little subtle things, or like all the merchandising. Like, I don't know if you remember, but when Hercules is really getting famous, he's got like an action figure and all this stuff, and it's sort of a commentary on commercialism, maybe? I don't know, but it was very... Like, oh, I didn't understand why it was funny when I was a kid.
All right. Maybe you've seen him, maybe you haven't. You either love him or you hate him, but Mel Brooks.
Yeah, is he the guy who does, like, Naked Gun?
No.
Like those spoof movies? That's
yes,
Leslie something?
Yes. No, not him. But Mel Brooks did Spaceballs, Robin Hood, Men in Tights, The Producers. I love The Producers movie. Have you ever seen it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm.
Okay. Every time I crack up with laughter. I mean, just...
You crack up with laughter?
Producers, I
Not.
normally end up on the floor just in tears because I love it. But anything with Mel Brooks attached, I'm in. I want to watch it. It's got a commentary on society, on norms, on, and I love Mel Brooks. So, did you ever see Spaceballs?
I think I did, and I'm pretty sure I didn't like it. Is that with, hold on, Bill Pullman? Is he in that? Okay, I tried to watch that just recently, and I'm like, I don't get why you would like this movie unless you were drunk or high.
Okay. As you pour yourself more.
I pour... There.
All right.
You're right.
So, Spaceballs is hilarious. I love it. It was an influential movie for me as a teen. It was one of those just comedies that I couldn't watch enough. It was right up there with Monty Python's Search for the Holy Grail.
Because it's a spoof on...
Star Wars.
Stuff. On Star Wars, basically.
Yeah. So, I never quite understood one scene in this until recently. And it's in Spaceballs, there's this scene where Mel Brooks always plays a character in his movies. And he played, I think it was Yogurt was his name. It was a spoof on Yoda.
Oh, yeah.
Bill Pullman's character's getting trained in the Schwartz and learning all this stuff. And then suddenly there's this kind of advertisement break for Spaceballs, the merchandise.
Yeah, it's okay.
So it wasn't until like a month or two ago where I was reading through some stuff in this random article, and it offered a little brief snippet of history on that moment where George Lucas consented that, you know what, go ahead, spoof Star Wars as much as you want, have fun with it, but you cannot merchandise anything. Because George Lucas had, and this is how he made his money with Star Wars, it was the merchandising.
The toys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he was very protective of that. And that's why Mel Brooks threw that whole scene in there of just Spaceballs merchandise.
Yeah, I can't remember that.
It's a cheap lunchbox. We slapped the sticker on it and jacked the price up by $30. And so it was making fun of that moment, that piece of Star Wars lore and history. And it was just understanding that, having that like meta moment of, whoa, and I missed all of it.
Yeah, that's a good word for it, a meta moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's the connection of those dots and just going, whoa. Yeah, that might be a very good word to describe those moments that you rewatch a favorite childhood movie and go, whoa, I missed that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yes. All right.
What?
Go ahead. No? All right. Here's a random kind of question for you. And you might need a moment to think about it, which is fine. We can return to it. Favorite Disney villain or villains, and why?
Good question.
All right, so you can think about that. I'll go first. I have like two top favorite Disney villains, and they are Hades out of Hercules.
Yeah.
And Jafar from Aladdin. And I love them because there's a highlighting of kind of their almost like goofy evil is how I would describe it. Like Jafar is trying to be serious evil, he's just never good at it. And Hades is trying to be like, I would say a goofy evil, but he's more of a serious evil. And I love that. And I love their henchmen.
Yeah, word. I think I was super fascinated by Ursula as a child. She was really strange and interesting and feminine and masculine at the same time, and the way she talked and her hair and like eating those little creatures, like she was really dark and interesting.
Ursula has to be one of the best, most well-developed bad guys of Disney.
Yeah,
I mean,
she has a backstory.
Right.
Yep.
You have, like, the old classic Disneys. You have the evil queen who's just the evil queen. She's great, but she's just the evil queen. You don't understand
no story.
Right. And then you get to, and I think it changes with The Little Mermaid, because that's when you start developing even the bad guy a little bit. Where Ursula, and I really do see her as that transition, which I love her. She's not one of my favorites, but I love her because you go from a bad guy who's just comically bad to a bad guy who there's a degree, just a hair of sympathy because they have this backstory. So now you're invested.
Yeah. She's been wronged in some way, Yeah. Yep. Very interesting. And I've heard that she was modeled after a drag queen, actually, which is why she kind of sort of acts the way she acts, like super over the top. And like, I love the way she moves, with her 8 legs. She just moves so interesting. I love it.
I could see that. I've never heard that before. That's interesting.
Yeah, do some, just plug it in there on where was I watching? I can't remember. Oh, I think it was like a history or a documentary on trans people in Hollywood. And I thought that was really, really cool. Very interesting. So, and I always liked Scar. Scar, when we played, my sisters and I would play Lion King all the time, and I loved to be Scar. And,
according to Google, Ursula's appearance was largely inspired by American actor and drag queen Divine, who is best known for his frequent appearances in several films directed by filmmaker John Waters. That's according to Google, and, 30 seconds of typing. But that's interesting.
Yeah. Yep. I think one of my favorite villain songs is Scar's song, Be Prepared.
Oh. Did you watch the remake of The Lion King? Did you watch that?
I didn't really like it. I stopped watching it.
Okay. Yeah, for me, the remake, when they, whatever they did with that song, and it was just bleh, that's the point where I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
You don't have that song, you don't get Scar's depth. Because that song is terrifying, and it hits this collective idea built into the psyche.
Third Reichish.
I know,
right?
and then you're
almost
like, oh,
Hitlerish.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, this dude's really gonna screw it up. And then they redo the whole thing, and you're like...
So that's not even in the remake?
No, I think it is in the remake, but it's not like the terror. Like, for me, if I was doing that remake, that would have been the one scene I say we have to redo shot for shot. Like, it has to be this way. If it is not this way in some way, we're going to lose it.
Yeah.
And I think that's, for me, the music of The Lion King and them not redoing that scene killed the remake.
Yeah. So, The Lion King is, you probably know this because you're a smart dude, but The Lion King is loosely based on Hamlet. It's basically the story of Hamlet.
Oh, I love it.
And I like the weight of that scene because it's very military. It's very like, he has hundreds of hyenas at his beck and call. And in that scene, you really feel that military connection. And I just like that weight. The weight of that scene is profoundly good. What's that look on your face? Are you okay?
Yes, I am okay. Sorry, so Shakespeare is... I guess we should actually even include Shakespeare in this, because when you go back and look at some of his stuff and the subtlety, but those moments where you're like,
oh my gosh.
Taming of a Shrew.
Definitely.
I mean...
Yep. And Romeo and Juliet, quite frankly.
Gosh.
The role of the nurse is super dirty, and that's why it was in there for comic relief. Really dirty. And hilarious. So, absolutely.
And it's woven throughout our storytelling. Sorry, part of me, you said that, and there are Shakespeare quotes that I love, and they're the traditional quotes that most people can get, but they're just like, goosebumpy, skin-crawling moments, and I can't remember it, but one of them was Patrick Stewart, and...
Oh, yeah.
I think it was Macbeth.
Macbeth?
Yeah.
He did an excellent Macbeth.
When they did it was a modern-day-ish kind of version of Macbeth with him.
Oh, I loved it. Yep.
The quote right there, and I'm blanking on it, but it's, his wife has just passed, and he's having this monologue of reflection, and I'm blanking entirely on that quote. So I'm trying to Google it to remember. But yes, watching that scene with Patrick Stewart saying it, and it's very underplayed. It's very quiet. But then you have these kind of soft rumblings of the war that's going on in the background, and it is just a incredible scene. It gives me goosebumps when I watch it. Patrick Stewart, Sir Patrick Stewart, Sir Ian McClellan, when they do anything Shakespearean, like at the beginning of Quarantine, one of my favorite Twitter accounts to follow was actually Patrick Stewart, because he was reading a Shakespearean sonnet a day. And he would sit down with a glass of wine or in a new location or wherever, and he would sit down and he would read these sonnets. And they were just beautiful and amazing to listen to him reading them. Oh, there it is. Life is but a player strutting and fretting his moment upon the stage. I'm butchering the quote, but sorry, it just clicked.
Yeah. Macbeth is one of my favorites, I think, for sure.
Wow. Actually, I guess, I don't know. We're not doing a production of Macbeth, but should we be referring to it as Macbeth or the Scottish play?
Well, I think it's okay because we're not actually going to be performing it, so we don't have to worry about our legs being broken or anything. Or the theater burning down.
That was one of the neat things I learned I did 2 musicals when I was in high school, and the Superstitions of Theater was one of the coolest things that I learned in that time period, because there's a lot of tradition there, and how you engage with theater, how you produce, how you do. It was just neat. I was also that snot-nosed little teenager who's running around going, hee, we're making a thing, Macbeth. And my theater teachers run around, you say that again, I'm gonna... Okay. Random side trail.
Oh, man. You know what movie I loved when I was a kid is, and it's got some pretty weird scenes, is The Hunchback of Notre Dame. There's this scene where Frollo, after he's sort of snubbed by Esmeralda and he has her scarf, and he's got that super dark scene where he's basically like, if I can't have her, nobody will. And, that's a creepy scene. And I knew it was scary when I was a kid, but I didn't understand how sexually loaded it was. It was...
Well, that whole movie, I mean, the idea of gypsy culture and the implications that came with it in that era, in that time period, and you're going against the European oppression, and you have these gypsies who are just kind of free-willed and spirited and dance for the fun of it. That whole bit is truly lost in, how you watch it as a kid, and then you watch it as an adult, you're like, oh.
You see, yes.
Even the Feast of Fools in the movie, I don't know if that's a real thing.
I think it is a real thing. I think it's a real thing.
I mean, it would make, Feast of Fools. But I mean, even then, that, and the idea of allowing is maybe not the right word, but a moment of throwing off the oppression and allowing for celebration, which I guess you could even look at that and see that within our own culture expressed with Fat Tuesday and Mardi Gras.
I don't know Fat Tuesday.
You do know Mardi Gras, okay? Right?
I do know Mardi Gras,
okay.
Yeah.
So, going into Lent, going into that time frame, there's this kind of neat series of events that happen, and one of them is expressed in Fat Tuesday, where it would be the day of, okay, we're going into this time of meager and solemn, so we're going to get rid of all of the really good foods, which implied get rid of the bacon grease. So we're going to fry everything up on one day. So for where I'm at, Fat Tuesday could maybe be best expressed as Donut Day. Because there are lines at some of the Catholic churches in this area that make the really good Fosnot donuts.
Really? I don't know any churches that make donuts.
In this area,
go there.
That's a big thing. In this area is there are lines for Fosnots at the Catholic churches. I don't get the Fosnots.
What?
They're just plain donuts to me, and I'm like, I'll go to the donut store. But that's part of Fat Tuesday is we're getting rid of the grease. We're getting rid of that deep fried food for this time period going into Lent. And then, you have Mardi Gras, which is that final celebration, that final, okay, we're going into Lent, get the celebration out of your blood now, because for the next 40 days, it's somber.
Is that what Mardi Gras is, too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mardi Gras is the last, it's like, I don't remember what the translation of it is, but it's like the last party, the party of parties, to get it out of your system for the next 40 days.
Oh, okay.
Which is why
I knew it was interesting.
Yeah, which is why it which is why it's gotten wilder and wilder over the years in, is it St. Louis? I think it's St. Louis?
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Wait, isn't that a state?
New Orleans. No, it's not a state. It's a city in Louisiana.
Yeah.
My people.
All right.
The French.
Oh, yeah. A repressed people, apparently.
Yeah, very repressed.
Very good at resistance.
Yeah. Huguenots.
But I mean, that's, that is part of it. I guess Feast of Fools might even be part of that. I wonder if there is a connection. That would be worth researching. So, There you go. Random rabbit trail of...
No, good. It's good. It's fun. So, what about Emperor's New Groove? Did you like that? Remember when that came out? Oh, we watched that so many times.
I enjoyed that movie. That was a fun movie. That was just it wasn't like the best Disney movie, but it was just a fun Disney movie.
Super fun. I think it was the first time they had a pregnant lady in one of their movies. John Goodman.
Yeah, his wife.
The wife was pregnant, and they'd never really shown that before, and I thought she was so adorable.
Yeah, I don't remember his wife's name, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was the first time. And the kids are so funny.
I love, whenever he's in something, Patrick Warburton. Warburton? There we go.
Oh, yeah. The guy who plays...
Kronk.
The Kronk, yeah.
Mm-hmm. When he's in something, I love him. Like, did you watch, I think it was a Netflix, yeah, it was, Lemony Snicket's Series of Unfortunate Events on Netflix. Did you watch that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I loved it. My kids got into it with me, and... how he narrated that and how he interacted with it was perfect. I felt like it fit perfectly with the books, and it was amazing. And I really loved him in that. I love him as Kronk. Him as Kronk, and that dry wit that he brings is hilarious.
Where he's got his good angel and his bad angel, and they're arguing about what to do with I can't think of any names right now. No names. Cusco. He doesn't know what to do with Cusco.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. And okay, I just gotta bring attention to this scene where Yzma is trying to find Cusco, and she's at, what's his name? Pasha's house? Pasha.
Okay.
Paka? The guy with the...
John Goodman's character.
Dude. Yeah. And they get locked in the closet, and she says, "Tell us where the talking llama is, and we'll burn your house to the ground." And and Gronk's like, "Don't you mean or? Tell us where the talking llama is, or we'll burn your house to the ground." And the little girl's like, "Well, which is it? That sounds like a pretty crucial conjunction."
Of course, you would find the English jokes funny.
It's so funny. And because it's a little girl saying it, too, it's just so funny.
If I may ask a direct question.
Oh, yes. You certainly can.
Have you, at any point, ever been considered a, I guess I'll just use the term, but grammar Nazi?
Actually, I'm not that good at grammar.
Really?
Really. Yeah, I love English, I love reading, I love literature, and I know the obvious things, but I'm not actually a grammar Nazi, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious, because...
I'll let you be. I won't correct it unless it's, like, super obvious.
Yeah, my grammar Nazi is Neanderthal-like. I use words. Words go boom, big, make sound. That's like the extent of my English training here. But apparently, never mind. It was good enough to get 2 master's degrees. Or maybe my wife's editing of my papers was. Thank you, my lovely wife. I wrote them, she read them.
You gotta have an editor.
Yes, Emperor's New Groove, though, has several of those adult joke moments, several of those kind of breaks to the parents. Like, forgive me for bringing this one up, but there's the scene where Yzma and Kronk are out camping, and Yzma's got this like grand tent, and then he's got this little tent strategically placed with no poles, and you're like,
yes. And I didn't get that when I was a kid, for sure.
But again, you watch that as an adult with your kids, and you're like, what? Okay, moving right along.
Yeah, let's just keep watching the film.
Yeah.
And I love. That movie was so fun. Just a fun movie.
Well, okay, so classic with strong opinions on either side. All right.
Okay.
And I will judge you based on your opinion, but
noted.
Willy Wonka and the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I didn't love it. The remake or the original?
Sorry, I screwed up because I was thinking of the remake while saying Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, so I almost said Charlie. But yes, the original, not the remake.
The original. I liked the original. It wasn't something that like we watched over and over again, but it was pretty fascinating. Like the whole land of chocolate, like the land that was made of candy in the beginning, and then that super creepy tunnel scene. Like, I have no idea what that scene was about, but it was really scary.
You know what's great is they actually didn't tell the actors what was about to happen in that, and then they just floated them in on the boat, did that whole scene, and their reactions are actually genuine terror.
You're like, what's happening? Why does this feel so unsettling?
Remind me of that. I think I've referenced this before, but remind me of moments that actors are tortured. But there's even a moment in Willy Wonka, several moments in Willy Wonka where, again, they kind of have this subtle, it's a little more subtle than some Disney movies, but there's a scene where Willy's talking to one of the parents, and candy is dandy, but liquor is quicker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, wouldn't have got that. No.
Yeah, again, you don't get that as a kid, and then you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that. There's the moment of the tunnel scene where even adults to this day are terrified of. Like, my wife will get out, just stand up, walk out of the room in that scene and get snacks. And I'm sitting there going, it's just a boat ride. It's a little twisted, but it's a boat ride. It didn't bother me as much. I don't know why. But yes, there's that. So have you heard of like pop culture moments where directors have tortured actors?
Yeah, I know, like, with E.T., the Steven Spielberg told Drew Barrymore that her puppy died or something like that to get a response out of her, and she cried in the scene because of that. I think that was one. I could be making that one up, but that's what I heard. And then there's another one, I think it was the Goonies, where Sean Astin's character gets stuck or something, and that was real. That was a real thing. And he just recorded, just kept rolling. I can't wait for my son to watch the Goonies. That'll be fun.
You're saying that, and I haven't watched that with my kids yet. I need to. Hey, you guys! Yeah. All right. So, one of my favorite moments out of movie history of just actors being tortured by directors is the original Aliens movie. Have you seen it?
Yes. I think I fell asleep.
You fell asleep in... Oh, my goodness. Okay. So...
I did. I fell asleep, I think. But I fell asleep before the scary things happened, which is probably... I think it was just getting good when I fell asleep.
All right. So, I love the original Aliens franchise. I love where they were doing with it, the Sigourney Weaver arcs that they did with it. It got weird at the end. It always gets weird at the end of arcs, but that first movie has an incredible scene. One that has been spoofed in Spaceballs. One that has been just written into the collective memory of anyone who's ever watched or engaged with the Alien series. And it's the first time you see an alien burst out of the chest of a character. All right?
Yeah.
So what's really great is John Hurt, who is the actor that has the alien burst out on first time ever in a movie. All right?
Yeah,
John Hurt and the director coordinated this scene. They didn't tell any of the other actors what was about to happen. They didn't tell them what kind of scene they were walking into. So they had them all offset. They rigged up John Hurt with the device that would cause his chest to burst open and this thing to come out. And they set the stage for it. They brought in all the other actors. They said, okay, here's what we're going to do. It's going to be a dinner scene, and you're going to be doing da-da-da-da.
It's going to be
And then suddenly, as this dinner's going on, John Hurt starts, holding his chest, and the actors start responding to that. They think he's having a heart attack. And there's actually, I don't remember who it was, but one of them breaks character and is going, John, are you okay? John, are you... And then suddenly, they all get splattered with blood, and this thing bursts out of his chest as John's like, ah! And
oh my gosh.
The reactions in that moment are genuine because they have no idea what's going on. They're terrified. But it made for one of the most iconic film scene moments in history, in my opinion. But
no, you're right.
A neat little aside of John Hurt and whatnot. He is one of the most killed on-screen actors of all time. He's got a lot of death scenes.
Is he killed more often than Sean Bean?
Sean Bean may pass him, but he's got a lot of death scenes. He's also, for all of you Whovians out there, he is my favorite version of the Doctor. You watch Doctor Who?
I tried.
Oh, okay.
I just wasn't really into it. I think I only watched an episode or two.
We're done talking.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
You gotta get past the first season. It does get better. Chris Eccleston is a good doctor. He just didn't have good writers. That's my opinion. But John Hurt is an amazing actor as well. And he's always brought that subtlety into his acting where I don't feel uncomfortable with my kids watching some of his movies. My kids haven't watched Aliens yet, but I look forward to the day I can with my son. We're getting close to that point of sci-fi horror. Is about the...
How old is he?
He's 11.
11. Yeah, 11's good. 11's good. My son's 8, so we're going to watch Pirates of the Caribbean next week, and he's never seen a movie like this before, so I'm really curious if it's going to be a little too much. So it's so fun.
We've done Pirates of the Caribbean, but I'm figuring I'm going with about the age that I started engaging with this stuff, which was right around 13. My aunt and my uncle are big movie people, and they're the ones who got me engaged with this stuff. They're the ones who I have the blame for my love of Star Wars. And they're the ones who gave me lists of movies to watch to understand these are classic, even like or B grade sci-fi movies you need to watch. And
because it's a part of our culture. Yeah, it's definitely... Yep.
Oh, yeah. So, that's where that love came in. But even then going back and doing that with my own children, going back and watching movies, and it really is fun finding these moments.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree. I watched, I think I said this before on the podcast, but my son watched Jurassic Park, and when people ask him what his favorite part was, he tells people it was the part where the lawyer got eaten off the toilet. And I'm pretty sure that's a part I made him close his eyes on. But maybe he peeked. So, because You gotta peek.
You gotta peek. Sorry, you just have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great movie. It really was. My friend and I used to speculate that the lawyer in that scene, what really happened is, he got eaten off the toilet and swallowed by the animatronic and then was just on the inside with whoever was piloting, having fun chasing the other actors. That was our guess.
That's fun. Yeah.
Now, as I've gotten older, I've come to understand, okay, it wasn't that kind of animatronic where you get to wear a dinosaur suit and chase people. But still, it would have been cool. There you go. That would be really cool. Think about that. You make and design a military mech that is a T-Rex that you can run around on the battlefield. Forget tanks. T-Rex mechs. That's what we're going with. I'm engaging my 10-year-old self here. Dang it.
Good stuff.
I guess last bit. we have recently been watching as a family. Do you remember the Dinosaurs TV show?
I wasn't allowed to watch that, I don't think. Yeah, I think my mom didn't like it, but my mom didn't like a lot of things.
Actually, on that note, so you weren't allowed to watch dinosaurs as a kid. What other, shows were a no-go for you?
Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, Buffy. Wasn't allowed to watch Buffy, but that was a little older, but still wasn't allowed to watch it. Stuff like that. She was pretty nervous about magic. Magic was scary.
Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, that was...
And I don't understand why she didn't like dinosaurs. I think because it was crass. Maybe she didn't like it because it was crass. She doesn't like crass things either.
Actually, no, I've really come to understand that a little bit more as we've watched it as a family, but I'll get to that in a moment. But Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles, that was like my childhood. I mean, those were two big shows and influences, that and Batman. I love Batman.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, I watched Batman. I liked Batman. I liked Spider-Man and X-Men and stuff like that.
Oh, Spider-Man was fun. But yeah, so those were good. I never watched Buffy. I
wanted to. I thought it was like what the cool kids watched.
I didn't care. Now, the show that I was not allowed to watch, I was 18, my sister's 8, and I was still not allowed to watch, was The Simpsons.
Okay, yep. I wasn't allowed to watch that either.
My sister's 8, and she's watching The Simpsons, and my mother's like, no. I think at that point it just became I haven't allowed you to watch it, I'm not going to allow you to watch it, I'm just going to troll your life. I love my mother. I love you, Mom.
Same. Love you, Mom.
But that's what it felt like. And as an adult, I have finally sat down, and that's why I got Disney Plus initially, was, okay, I can watch all of The Simpsons. And I did.
Yes. I've watched some, and I'm like, hey, okay.
It took me 4 months to watch them all, and I'm like, oh man, I'm so tired of The Simpsons.
You watched 30 seasons? 30 seasons of it?
I did.
Oh my gosh.
And by season 10, I'm like, I'm so tired of The Simpsons, but I'm a completionist and I just have to finish. Worth it. I still love The Simpsons, but it was definitely a period of time that was just...
Are you going to let your kids watch it?
No. I really wish I could say yes on that, but the answer's going to be no. When my son's a little bit older, yeah, he'll probably watch it, but right now, no. That aside, the dinosaurs, there it is. So we have been watching that as a family, and holy smokes, there's a lot of stuff that I missed in that as a kid. As a final moment of reflection on the things that we missed, that whole show is a conversation starter on all kinds of topics. I mean, what do you want to pick? It's in there.
Racism?
It's in there.
Wow.
There's a whole section of war between Group A of dinosaurs, which are the two-legged dinosaurs, and then there's the four-legged dinosaurs who we're at war against, and they are these horrible dinosaurs, and there's this, and it's what they play into, is there's this propaganda section that runs of how we're vilifying the other group. And we're watching this, and I'm like, how did I miss this as a kid?
Wow. What age do you think it's minimum age appropriate for? 90%
of what's going on was going over my kid's head.
Yeah.
And I mean, even I watched it, I was probably watching this as a kid at 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there. And I remember the shows, but I didn't remember the core of the topics.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's racism, there's equality of genders, there is LGBTQ plus issues, there's puberty, growing into being whoever you are. There's a whole slew of things in there that are just...
Should give it a shot.
Huge things that I entirely missed in... Sorry, I'm trying to pull up a website that lists all of the topics. So, alright. According to Wikipedia, environmentalism, endangered species, women's rights, sexual harassment, LGBTQ rights, objectification of women, censorship, civil rights, body image, steroid use, allusions to masturbation, drug abuse, racism, peer pressure, indigenous people issues, corporate crime, government interference, parenting, pacifism.
Wow.
And a lot of these, as we've been watching, I'm just sitting there going, wow, okay.
So it's well written. Is it well written, too?
Yeah, I mean...
Or is it pushy?
I don't think it's pushy. I really don't. I think it's trying to address the topics kind of almost from a family perspective of it's the family sitting and wrestling with these different topics as they happen in their lives. So what does that look like? How does that affect them? How does that interact and change what they hold, believe, or do as a family? Mm-hmm. Now, you know, the end of the episode, there's always that reset of, okay, now it's back to the same thing for next week, but it's a new topic. It's a new wrestling. It's fascinating how that show was something that my parents felt okay to watch, but it's presenting issues that are incredibly deep to discuss as a family.
That's cool.
Yeah, I knew some of this going in and watching, but I didn't know the full depth of everything that they would tackle. And some of it I agree with, some of it I don't. And I think that's fair to say. That's life.
Oh, yeah. You know, that's fine. Yep. Cool.
That was a mind-blown moment of very subtle and good writing. All right.
Yeah. I was, at the beginning of the episode, I was like, how are we going to... This is going to be like a 15-minute long episode.
Yeah, sure.
Now we're at an hour and 6 minutes. So, cool. We did it.
Yeah.
We were entertaining, maybe, for an hour.
It was a good rabbit-trailing media discussion and things we've seen and interacted with as parents.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah. So, and hey, it's good. But...
It's good.
Before we finish, okay?
Sure. Yes.
Next week, because we're going to talk about it and, yeah, roll with it. We're reading a book.
I have a confession.
Oh, no.
My book was on my nightside table.
Uh-huh.
And I read a bunch of stories from it, and now it's gone. And I don't know where it went.
Okay.
But I read, like, the first 4 or 5 stories, which were very good.
All right.
But I'm just going to say, I have no idea where the book went.
Well, just as a refresher, what's the name of the book?
Different Seasons? Is that what we're reading? Different Seasons? It's a bunch of novellas. A bunch of short stories.
By Stephen King.
Is it 4 Past Midnight or Different Seasons? I own the book, so I didn't really pay attention to the title.
Okay.
Do you have the book?
No. I figured I would read it the week before we talked about it, so I haven't gotten the book yet. Yeah. All right. Let's check online. Thank you to the wonders of editing to cut out some of the dead space.
I'll look online because I bet I can. It was either... Oh, Nightmares and Dreamscapes, maybe?
That sounds right.
Hold on, let me see what's in here for short stories, because good old Wikipedia. Yep, it was a different season. Nightmares and Dreamscapes, and I read 5 of them.
Okay.
And I gotta find them, maybe, but it's a lot to read. I mean, it's 816 pages, so I don't think you're gonna read it all. But maybe read, like, the first couple, because it's just fun. It's just fun stuff.
You want to take a bet on how much I'll get read?
Oh, yeah, I forgot you work from home.
I work from home, and I do audiobooks.
Oh, yes.
Because, honest moment of confession, post-seminary,
yeah,
I still struggle picking up to read books. Like, that was a love of mine for the longest time, I would just chew through books. And I still do, but sitting down to read them, doesn't happen as much as I'd like. So I do audiobooks, which is fine. I mean, I had to do car work yesterday, so I put an audiobook on that was 12 hours long. I think I have like 3 left. So I'll knock a book out while I'm doing stuff.
Wow.
because I enjoy it.
The trick is remembering the stories so that we can talk about them.
If I do it within a week, I can normally engage pretty well.
Yeah.
So, it's this. When you gave me the original recommendation of reading The Stand, and that was like a 60-hour audiobook.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did it in about a week and a half, roughly. And there are chunks that are missing, but I still got the whole arc of the story, and Randall Flagg is terrifying.
Yeah.
But
yep.
Yes. It was a good entry into.
Yeah. Anyways.
So, alright. So, Stephen King, Nightmares and Dreamscapes. Ooh, Tim Curry reads this one.
Ooh.
He's one of the readers. There are a few of them, but that'll be fun. Okay.
Sweet.
Alright. So, we're going to talk about that next week and engage in that. And then we'll figure out some of our episodes moving forward. What's up?
Not being here Saturday morning, which I'm so sorry I forgot to tell you.
Okay. What if we...
You could do your own. You could go solo.
March might be a bit of a weird month for podcasting, but we'll make it work.
All right.
All right?
Okie dokie. Thanks.
Hey, thank you. It's been a good conversation.
It has.
And this is one of the easier times to ask outside of your abysmal movie choices and dislike of Spaceballs and Monty Python.
Yeah.
Are we still friends?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we gotta work on your comedy choices. No, it's good. It's good. So, all right. It's been a good conversation, Lindsay.
It has.
So,
I'll see you later.
Yep, we'll see you. Thank you for listening to the 42 podcast. Please take a moment to like and subscribe, and if you want to join in on the conversation, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter to add your voice to the conversation. Thank you.